offensively where she's won the battle. I mean, just one-on-one and making a big-time play. There's another deflection block, whatever you want to say. Between Williams and Burton, you talked about it. They're the only team in the WNBA with 2 members of the all-defensive team on one team, and they are showcasing why they are on that. I anticipate they're on it again this year.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So after watching yesterday's game, I think a lot of Indiana Fever fans are feeling the exact same way. It felt like the Fever were fighting an uphill battle all night long. And when you go back and watch some of these possessions, it's easy to understand why people are frustrated with the officiating. Every time the referee made a call that benefited the Fever, the crowd seemed to react immediately. The boos were constant, and whether that influenced the game or not, it definitely felt like the officiating crew became hesitant in certain moments. The biggest example came late in the game involving Caitlin Clark. She clearly took contact to the face, yet there was still discussion about whether the play should be reviewed and potentially changed into a defensive foul. That's the type of sequence that leaves fans scratching their heads. Meanwhile, the Valkyries established a very physical style of play from the opening minutes. They set the tone early, and once that tone was established, a lot of that contact was allowed to continue throughout the game. Caitlin Clark faced pressure on nearly every drive to the basket. There were hand checks, body contact, and plenty of moments where defenders were making things difficult for her. The Indiana Fever, on the other hand, never seemed to get the same benefit when they tried to match that physicality. That's what makes this discussion so frustrating. Fans are looking for consistency. If one side is allowed to play a certain way, then the same standard should apply to the other side as well. Now, that being said, let's take a look at some of the clips that have been circulating online. Benjamin Brown, also known as Ben on ESPN, broke down several of these plays in detail. And what's funny is that some people responded by saying these were all obvious fouls. Well, let's see if that's actually true when we break down the footage play by play.
I'm not acting like the Fever played good. They played horrible. But watch this. The refs were horrendous. First off, you can't put 2 hands on a player's chest. Well, I mean, half the time, depending on how the refs want to call it. But they called this a foul on Kelsey Mitchell. She gets taken out. How is that a foul on Kelsey Mitchell? And then Aaliyah Boston fouled out for the entire second quarter because this girl kept flopping. 8 minutes and 35 seconds. Aaliyah Boston gone. So this season we're getting used to playing without Aaliyah Boston. And look at this foul they called on Monique Billings, former teammates. Didn't even touch her. And then Sophie Cunningham did not touch her. All this is in the second half from the Monique Billings foul. 1, 2, and then right down Sophie got fouled 3 times on this play. But they don't call this. Look at it in slow motion. Got the hip check and then the arm grab. And then think she just threw it out of bounds. It was an obvious foul. And look at, if Caitlin Clark ever leads with her elbow, you know it's an offensive foul. Or how about this one? Fully extended arm. It had been a foul on Caitlin Clark and a flop on the defender. That's what they've done all season long. And then this is horrible. Caitlin Clark didn't even touch the girl. So after 2 could have been offensive fouls, they call a ghost foul on Caitlin Clark. Look at this one. Literally grabs her right arm. Look at this. Easy to see. That's not a ball. That's Hines Allen's wrist. Watch how late the ref takes to call this. Still didn't call it. Watch this. Didn't call it. The shot's been up, rebounded. Now he wants to call it. Like, that is horrible. Like I said, Aaliyah Boston, the worst officiated player ever. Then they call this one. 2 minutes left. We're up by 1. They call this a foul on Kelsey Mitchell. And then immediately after, Lexi Hull's boxing out that girl, and she has her elbow in her back and pushes her. Like, up by 1, and you give up an offensive rebound. Tell me on those 14 missed calls, which one you think was the correct call. I'm not acting.
I understand that this was a physical, weight room type game, but it's got to go both ways. That's the biggest issue I have when I look back at this matchup. Nobody is asking for a soft game. Nobody is asking for every bit of contact to be called. Fans just want consistency. If you're going to let players be physical, then let both teams be physical. If you're going to call every little bump and reach, then do that for both teams as well. What frustrates Indiana Fever fans is when it feels like one standard exists for one team and a completely different standard exists for the other. You cannot allow one team to push the limits physically while the other team gets called for phantom fouls. That's not consistency, and that's what people are upset about. Then there's the play involving Caitlin Clark. I know some people are going to disagree, but I still believe that was a flagrant foul. I don't care if it was intentional or accidental. At the end of the day, Caitlin Clark took an elbow to the face. You simply cannot make that kind of contact and expect people not to question the decision. It may have been an unfortunate basketball play, but it was still significant contact to the head area. And if we're being honest, if an Indiana Fever player had delivered that same elbow, many people believe the whistle would have come immediately. Veronica Burton had already been playing physically against Caitlin Clark throughout the possession. Then the contact happened, and suddenly we're left debating whether it was serious enough to deserve a stronger penalty. In my opinion, it absolutely deserved a longer review. There were so many moments throughout the game where the officiating became part of the story. But here's the thing that really stands out. Even with all the frustration, even with all the controversial calls, the Indiana Fever still had chances to win the game. Aaliyah Boston struggled to find her rhythm. Caitlin Clark didn't have her best performance. Kelsey Mitchell also had a difficult night offensively. Yet despite all of that, the Fever were right there. They had opportunities in the closing minutes to take control of the game and complete the comeback. Credit also has to go to the Golden State Valkyries. They executed their game plan extremely well. They established a physical tone early, stayed disciplined, and took advantage of what the officials were allowing. Check how their players reacted. Still, if these teams meet again in a playoff series, I would lean toward the Indiana Fever. The Golden State Valkyries played an outstanding game, but it took 4 quarters of physical basketball, a difficult whistle, and several things going their way to secure a close victory. The playoffs are different. Teams adjust, players adapt, and I think the Indiana Fever would be much more prepared for that level of physicality in a series setting. Overall, it was a strange game, a frustrating game, and one that many Indiana Fever fans will view as heavily officiated in favor of the Golden State Valkyries. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree or disagree with the officiating? And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
I wasn't even able to get into a flow. I played the second half. I think it's super hard to try and figure out and understand how the refs are calling it. I think it's super hard to get charge fouls when I don't think anyone's in legal position. Shout out to the Valks. They did a great job selling it, and the refs fought it, to be honest, so good for them.